After 8 years, Justin Trudeau is not worth the cost. He's not worth the inflation, which hit 40-year highs after he doubled our national debt and printed $600 billion of cash. That's caused interest rates to spike. This all has very serious human consequences because after 8 years of Trudeau, a record-smashing 2 million Canadians are forced to food banks, lined up around the block in ways we have not seen since the Great Depression. If you put those images in black and white, you would assume you were watching historical footage from the Great Depression. People showing up at the Mississauga Food Bank asking for help with medical assistance and dying not because they're sick, but because after 8 years of Trudeau, life is so miserable and impoverished that they would rather die than live in a tent. Speaking of tents, we now have these encampments, homeless encampments in every centre in the country. Halifax, the home province of Trudeau's housing minister, has 30 homeless encampments. 30 in one city. This would have been unimaginable before Justin Trudeau and his disastrous inflationary policies. After 8 years of Trudeau, work doesn't pay. You make it, he takes it. After 8 years of Trudeau promising affordable housing and spending billions of dollars on the bureaucracy to support that, we have a doubling of housing costs. Remember, tomorrow he will come out here and he will make billions of dollars of housing promises, just like he did 8 years ago. And what will that do? It will build bureaucracy, and it will supply Liberal ministers with a steady stream of phony photo ops. Now, how do we know they're phony? Well, Sean Fraser has proven it. Because while we have seen, I'm going to estimate a 400% increase in housing photo ops since Sean Fraser became minister, we've seen a 14% reduction in real housing investment. This is the money that goes into actually building homes. 2 years after their accelerator program was created with much fanfare and beautiful headlines, it hasn't completed a single solitary house. And now it takes 25 years for the average Toronto family to save up for a down payment on the average home. You can buy a 20-bedroom castle in Scotland for cheaper than a 2-bedroom in Kitchener. After 8 years of Trudeau, UBS says that Toronto is the worst housing bubble in the world. Demographia says Vancouver is the third most expensive housing market on planet Earth, comparing median incomes to median house prices. And the IMF says that we have the worst likelihood of a mortgage meltdown of all 40 OECD countries. That is the reality. After 8 years of Trudeau promising new multi-billion-dollar programs, showing up in hard hats to hold photo ops, but ultimately building nothing but bureaucracy. And where's all the money going? Well, there's $54 million for the ArriveCan app that we didn't need, didn't work, and is now under criminal investigation. There's $1 billion for the Green Fund, which its own bureaucrats were caught on tape saying reminds them of the sponsorship scandal. The chair actually gave her own company $200,000. And now we learn that the $15 billion grant to the Stellantis plant will fund mostly jobs for non-Canadians, not immigrants. We love jobs for immigrants. Jobs for people who are not Canadian citizens and will not be Canadian citizens. They will come here, get a taxpayer-funded paycheck, and take it back to their country. I love South Korea. Wonderful country. But they don't fund jobs for Canadians, and we shouldn't fund jobs for their workers. Our money should fund our paychecks. Bring it home. That's why common sense conservatives are demanding a full inquiry into how many of these taxpayer-funded jobs are going to temporary foreign workers. We want a commitment that none of the money should go to temporary foreign workers, should only come to Canadians. This is a $15 billion grant to one company. $15 billion works out to $1,000 for every single Canadian family. You got 15 million families in Canada. You got $15 billion for this one company. Every family in Canada we'll give $1,000 to this plant. And now we know that the majority of the jobs won't even go to Canadians. Justin Trudeau is not worth the cost. Tomorrow, we'll see more of the same: inflationary spending, housing photo ops and promises, and glitzy deficits. Our common sense plan turns the country in the opposite direction. And so I have 3 demands. 1, cancel the planned quadrupling of the carbon tax. Yes, Trudeau wants to quadruple the tax. That will drive up heat, gas, and groceries. Because when you tax the farmer who makes the food and the trucker who ships the food, you tax all who buy the food. We will have a referendum on the carbon tax, the forthcoming carbon tax election, where Canadians will decide on that issue. And we all agree that is the issue on which we will vote in the next election. Justin Trudeau has said so. And so he and I agree that there will be a carbon tax election. In the meantime, I asked Justin Trudeau to show some compassion for families who can't eat, heat, or house themselves. Cancel your plans to quadruple the tax. Put it on hold. And in the election, Canadians will decide. I will win that election, and I will axe the tax. But for God's sake, stop ripping off Canadians in the meantime. Second, balance the budget to bring home lower inflation and interest rates. We know now that inflation is the result of Trudeau's money printing deficits and the resulting interest rate hikes. We have $900 billion of mortgages that are going to renew in the next 3 years alone. That's 2/3 of all mortgages. There will be a massive mortgage crisis if rates do not come down. Obviously, the Bank of Canada sets the rates, but they've been clear that the deficits are pushing those rates higher. Do the compassionate thing. Let people keep their homes. Balance their budgets. Balance the budget to bring down interest rates and inflation. And 3, let's build homes, not photo ops and bureaucracy. We don't need Justin Trudeau and Sean Fraser going on a circus, putting on hard hats, and standing in front of construction sites of projects that would have been built without them. We need a direct formula that incentivizes cities to get out of the way and permit 15% more home building per year or lose federal money. Those that beat the target should get a building bonus. We should require every federally funded transit station be surrounded by housing. We should require CMHC approve housing projects in 60 days, not in 2 years, or the executives should be fired. We should remove taxes on home building. All of these things are common sense. One flaw with my bill, though, I'll be honest with it. It doesn't provide for photo ops. There won't be any photo ops. There'll be lots of houses, but no photo ops. So this is a flaw. I admit it. I'm not perfect, but I think it's worth the trade-off. The common sense plan from the Conservatives for tomorrow is 1, cancel the carbon tax hikes. 2, balance the budget to bring down inflation and interest rates. And 3, build homes, not bureaucracy or photo ops. This is common sense. Now let's bring it home.